They killed, give me Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So then you said that they put millions of my people. Yes, you said so. Should a murderer go to jail for murdering? Absolutely. Should a thief go to jail when he steals? Absolutely. Should a robber pay back the money he robbed? Absolutely. So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did? That's right. That's right.
Never expected to grow. Just obstacle set in the road. That a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never our home. Only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating, disfiguring me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting. The trail of my tears is countless. Main fact that I'm here is astounding. But this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky, nuclear missiles and make it official. I'm capturing every cracker surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be. Slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cages, safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash. Get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom we busting it down. The only way justice is found. The time for your judgment is now.
You see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
Look, ain't no remorse in my blood, so it won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember your Honda's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in this body, you fit the Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Vondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is served cold, I just hope they make an oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in the world of mad shooters. That was designed fire for our babies to pass through it. And the damn by King's reign, I'll be overzealous. They both jealous, I bought brand new parabellums.
You see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
I'ma show him it's a difference. I'ma only say this once, you better listen. When what's is where it started, so you know that's where it finished. We got one main objective, nigga, let's complete the mission. We explaining what the who, lead them bitches and they feelin'. Snub on me, only time I put my nose inside your business. I don't want my gun to show, so I wear my shirt bigger. This is our world, cause if this was your world, I'd be the villain. Breaking this whole block down, all I gotta do is spin and stuff in Mac Shell drums. Turn your crib to Sunday dinner. You don't live here, you visit, this my shit, it's a difference. I don't do lean, Lobos in my cup is what I'm sipping. I don't do juice, I just say a prayer, go and get it. And it all work out, you know this ain't for play, this ain't for fun. I've been destined for this shit, niggas know that I'm the one. This shit can go 100 yards, you would think I kicked the punt. You would think I had a flare gun on go, you niggas run. They like he an Israelite, all he rap about is guns. Bitch, I'm an Israelite that own a lot of guns. What that nigga said who? Tell them watch the grind. Yeah, you must be crazy if you ever think of stopping mine. Knock all of the chains out you niggas, make them drop a dime. This Taurus hold 12, it is not a zodiac sign. Piss me off, get me in my bag, make me drop a bomb. Drop a nuke, make the world freeze, I can stop the time. Watch what you do, cause once you do it, you can't press rewind. I do the opposite, so nigga cross the line. It's different, I ain't looking for trouble, but on point in case you think I rap. Turn him to a vegetable, lead this nigga cabbage patch. No niggas with me, if you see him, then they got it out the mud. Big stepping, you can see the tracks, follow me. I can teach you something, have receive, relax. You gon' speak on anything, just make sure it's fact. It's a difference, we are not the same, help them notice that. Pay attention, watch how we move, we can know we can't. Hang around all real niggas and we move as one. This ain't Fortnite, get into it, ain't no 1v1. The smoke I bring to you, you can't take it in with your lung. Life about warfare, we just make it look fun. She asked what kind of oil I got on, I told her give them some. What's the only real niggas left, you better get you one. Chicken shop, giving out wings if I pull a drum. It's a difference, you better watch your words before you eat your tongue. Scrape the whole plate, not a trace nor leave a crumb. Ice falling off the watching chain like it's freezer burn. Daring somebody to say my name, I would eat to him. Loyalty means everything, so I don't eat with them.
This powerful $99 drone is now available in the US. Extremely high-tech 5,000
All right, Shalom, Israel. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohanan. We've been established since 1969. This is the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class, where we get into the Hebrew, our native language, our original tongue, Lashawan, meaning tongue or language, Qadash, meaning holy. So this is our separate tongue, separate language. So this is the class where we get into that, break down how to speak the Lord's tongue, the Lord's language that he gave to us, and break down the meaning of words, how to break down the meaning or break down sentence structure and, you know what I'm saying, the Hebrew in the scriptures, and how to communicate in our native language, right? We do this every Friday. It's a free class, you know what I'm saying, for brothers and sisters to be able to break away from the shackles of our oppressor, you know what I'm saying, our oppressor's language, where we were taught English, Spanish, Creole, Patois, you know what I'm saying, whatever we speak, that's not the Lashawan Qadash, it comes from our oppressors. So to reverse that damage that was done by our captivity, we have to learn our language, right? So that's what this class is all about, as we already know, you know what I'm saying. If you got any questions, put it in the chat. Any questions in the room, just go ahead and raise your hand at any time. You know what I'm saying? If you got any questions about anything pertaining to the Hebrew, doesn't matter whether it's on topic necessarily or, you know what I'm saying, whatever the case is, if it's pertaining to the Hebrew, just put it in the chat or raise your hand. We'll get right to it. That's what this class is for. Tonight, as the title says, we're going to be talking about, so last week we were talking about the most common nouns that are in the Bible, right? Tonight, we're going to kind of piggyback off of last week's lesson, but we're going to talk about a specific, you know what I'm saying, subject as far as most common nouns. So we're going to be getting into parts of the body, right? So as you see on the board, right, I got a couple, you know what I'm saying, a couple nouns on the board that we're going to get into defining tonight, but we're also going to work on using the resources that we have to find out how to, what's the word? We're going to use the resources that we have to be able to decode the Hebrew, right? So we got the Strong's Concordance, the Strong Concordance of the Bible, with the Hebrew to Hebrew English Hebrew dictionary, Hebrew Greek interlinear dictionary. We have the Hebrew interlinear app on your phone. You should have the Blue Letter Bible. You should have Bible Hub. You should have a King James version of the Bible with concordance. download on your phone, as we talked about pretty much every class up until this point. So if you don't have those, I would go ahead and look those up and get those, because tonight we're going to be defining some nouns and figuring out how to, say specific, nouns, in the Hebrew. But we're also going to put into practice what we've been being taught up until this point, as far as how to use the resources that we have. So if you're in class, we have the strong concordance. We have the strong concordance with a Hebrew and Greek dictionary. We have that in class. If you have one yourself, get that next to you, because you're going to need to use it tonight. All right. All your apps that you use, the apps that you use for Sabbath service, Blue Letter Bible, the Bible Hub, any app that has the, the Torah, if you have it, anything where you see the Hebrew, you can read the Hebrew, you're going to need all those resources tonight. And we're going to figure out how to use those resources to find out, how to define a word. All right. So I just wanted to give that brief introduction real quick. So I've got these words on the board, right? If you're watching online or if you're in class, I want you to, while the intermission is going, I want you to use your resources, see if you can define these words. And if you're at home, put it in chat. If you're in class, just raise your hand, and we're going to practice using these resources. All right. So before I go on, let's say that one more time. I want you to use your resources, your concordance, your Hebrew to English dictionary. I want you to use the apps that you have, the KJV with concordance. You have the interlinear, the Greek Hebrew interlinear Bible. You should have that. You should have Bible Hub. You should have Blue Letter. You should have all of those. All right. So however you see fit to find out and practice, finding out, see if you could define each one of these words. And also, you should have a lot of these words in your notes. All right. So we're gonna take a little intermission for a second, and then once we come back, we're gonna check the chat and see what we was able to come up with.
Yeah, on 44 shit, you know what I mean? Busy man. Look, when that shit drop, you step all the way on their neck, step on their neck and they head with that. Fine then, I ain't show no mercy, we gon' show them boy what time it is. I pop out like I'm Samuel, I got time to kill. Haters thought I died, I survived. They don't know how I did it, got it out the mud, straight to glory. They don't know how I feel, he nice but he don't show them skills, how I show them skills. He ride but he don't work the wheel, how I work the wheel. They mad, I'm too solid, circle tight, yeah, vacuum seal. No, they want my life, I ain't worried, I got rank for real. I got real soldiers, kill for me, nigga, watch yourself. They say you been in beast mode lately, you is not yourself. for real. Dang! Killing motherfuckers. Stand over him, shoot him in the face. Say, no. Hey, listen, bro, you don't know me. I be this bitch tripping.
I got you. Let it rap quick. Look.
City eyes, it's time to bogart. My God, a real nigga, cause he wasn't no flaw. Posted on the corner like a watchdog. Family secure, got that shot in the closet by the mob ball. Fuck what they heard, tell them it's all true. That found fall through. Look, I keep this shit 50 times 2. Ain't no more heart in this game, I'm John Q. Colder than the avalanche, way above average. Revenge taste sweet, told him make me an apple tree. Left us in the valley full of bones, this where hope found. Shall become a man, dark sands get broke down. Riding through Evanston with Mark Quad, telling me how them crackers turned his childhood to a ghost town. Poke a sock, nigga, I lay that game down. I feel his pain, cause nothing is the same now. Let my light shine like heaven through a rain cloud. Glock have a fit like my child, no tangent. Try to warn them niggas, we bear arms like tarantulas. Them other niggas rap, I make anthems. I really see profits under this banner. Made my enemies bow down on camera. Told my design I wanted black and white like a panda. I'm better than that nigga that sunk dirty Diana. Look, I move like a Brazilian, precious cargo. Spirit ancient, but I got a new semi-auto. Wave that bitch around like where's Wardo. Sleep if they won't, I cut through they Z's like I'm Zorro. Pay me for his name, so I gotta keep that steel clutch. Trust me, I'm not what you think. I squeeze till it click like Dorothy when the heels touch. The world got me dumb, I don't feel much. Ride around with Yara down, just left the state bridge. Looking for a bitch better than baby's kid. Remember, I dropped Quiet Storm, I've been gone ever since. Still in the field, fuck them niggas on the fence, yeah.
All right. Lucky. 1 second. All right, we're back. Brothers and sisters online, you know what I'm saying? Let me know if you can see what's on the board before we get started. Just to reiterate, we are going to be going over common nouns that are used throughout the scriptures. But we are also tonight going to be practicing how to use the resources that we have, you know what I'm saying, that we've been given since the beginning of the Lashawan Qadash class. All right. So we're going to be putting that into practice as well, right? So, Lucky, give me 1 second. 1 second. All right. Right. So again, this is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Start out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. And again, this is the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class where we get into the Hebrew language in both the Assyrian and the Paleo, the ancient Paleo Hebrew. and we break down the meaning of words, how sentences are formed, how phrases are formed, and all of that, and how to read the Hebrew within the scriptures, right? So we're going to be going over tonight just the common nouns. Before we get started, right, we're going to bring out a precept real quick. A couple precepts, actually. You know what I'm saying? Just to explain the mindset that we're going to have with not only learning the scriptures and our culture in general, but just learning this Hebrew as well. You know what I'm saying? Right. So because we were under captivity, you know what I'm saying? Because we're still under captivity to this day, you know what I'm saying? A lot of our culture, you know what I'm saying, was taken from us. Actually, all of our culture was taken from us, stolen from us. And we were given a heathen's culture in return, or in exchange, Salaki. We're given a heathen's culture in exchange. And then not only that, but our culture, which was stolen by our oppressor, the so-called Jewish man, which it says in Revelations is not the Jew, you know what I'm saying, which is not us, you know what I'm saying, the original chosen people of the Most High. They have bastardized our culture. So our culture, it's a lot of times, like when we're trying to take back our culture, it seems kind of hard and discouraging, which is why, you know what I'm saying, brothers choose to get high. You know what I'm saying? Sisters choose to get on a stripper pole and create an OnlyFans rather than do what it takes to learn our culture. Brothers choose to sell drugs and kill one another, rob one another, you know what I'm saying, sleep with whores, instead of trying to take back our culture. You know what I'm saying? Following orders, getting back into these scriptures, because it's so much, you know what I'm saying? Our culture was stolen from us and we were given a heathen's culture in our place. And then them taking our culture, they bastardized it. So it could be kind of discouraging to our brothers. But what we got to understand is that while we may have come into the truth in our 20s and our 30s and our 40s, you know what I'm saying, and our 50s, some of us, you know what I'm saying, we have to do what is written in the scriptures, right? So first we got Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6, right? It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it, right? So like I just said, we, you know what I'm saying, most brothers and sisters, we coming into the truth, you know what I'm saying, in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, you know what I'm saying, and we just now learning our culture. But we also have children, you know what I'm saying? A lot of us have young children who are just learning to walk, talk, just getting potty trained and all of that. Now is the perfect time to be teaching your child the Hebrew language. You know what I'm saying? Even your oppressor will tell you that the most, you know what I'm saying, your children are more susceptible to learning foreign languages, or I'm saying several languages at an early age, you know what I'm saying, before 5 and 6 years old, right? That's why you have, you know what I'm saying, you as an adult, you try to get, you know what I'm saying, what they call it, what they call it, it's a lot, you. The damn Rosetta Stone and Babel and all of that, and you know what I'm saying, trying to learn these languages, and you know what I'm saying, you quit on it after a couple of weeks. Whereas you got, you know what I'm saying, 2, 3, 4-year-olds who know 6 languages. You know what I'm saying? Because they are a sponge. You know what I'm saying? Whereas we as adults, you know what I'm saying, we think we know it all. You know what I'm saying? We think we got it all, and we're less susceptible to learning new things as we get older, right? So right now, I'm going to read it again in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way that he should go. Because the way that a child should go is not into his oppressor, into the ways of his oppressor, into their language, into their ways, into their, you know what I'm saying, doctrines. We don't teach our children, you know what I'm saying, to celebrate Christmas. You know what I'm saying? That's part of training up our child in the way that they should go. You know what I'm saying? Telling them we don't celebrate Christmas. Instead, we celebrate this. We keep the feast days of the Most High God in Leviticus 23. We don't celebrate Halloween. We don't celebrate Easter. We celebrate the Passover. We keep the Passover. You know what I'm saying? That's part of training up a child in the way that they should go. But we're kind of working backwards if we're teaching them these authentic feast days and high holy days from the scriptures, but we're not teaching them the authentic language. And instead we're teaching them Spanish, and they don't know nothing about their language, you know what I'm saying, their culture, right? As far as the linguistics, right? So, you know what I'm saying, when you keep that in mind, you know what I'm saying, when you refrain from teaching them to celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas and Black Friday and all of that, their birthday, you know what I'm saying, make sure you keep in mind that part of training up your child in the way that they should go is teaching them this Hebrew. And that's going to require us as mothers, as fathers, as grandfathers, as grandmothers, as brothers and sisters. It's going to require us to do the due diligence to learn this language so that we can teach our children. And if we don't do that, we're going to fail. We failing our children, man. We're giving them, you know what I'm saying, half a shot. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying, we got also, if you go to Matthew chapter 18, verse 3, it says, and so it's talking about Christ, right? It says, verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. So as we're teaching our children, you know what I'm saying, we got to train our children in the way that they should go so that they don't depart from it. But Christ said we got to become his children also, right? So just like we would train up our children and raise them up in the way that they should go so that they don't depart from it, we have to be trained up in the way that we should go, man. Now that we're in the truth, now that we're following, now that we're aware of our culture, now that we're aware of our oppressor and who he is and what he's done to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and that we're aware of our true identity, then we should, just like children, we should be trained up in the way that we should go so that we don't depart from our culture. You know what I'm saying? And a big part of that is learning this Hebrew. So that's why we have these classes, you know what I'm saying, every week. You know what I'm saying, from 6 to 8 in Killeen, you know what I'm saying? We have these classes worldwide, all over the U.S. and Trinidad, Tobago. We have Puerto Rico and all these, you know what I'm saying, in the U.K. That's why we have these classes, so that we can teach each other the proper way and the way that we should go so that we can learn our culture. But if you're not willing to become as a little child, then, you know what I'm saying, then you're always, you know what I'm saying, this Hebrew, you know what I'm saying, this culture, learning this culture, especially learning this language, it's going to be, you know what I'm saying, you're going to have a hard time with it. So you have to humble yourself as a child, you know what I'm saying? And how did your children learn? You know what I'm saying? We went over this before, right? We went over this before in past classes. When your children are learning, they, you know what I'm saying, they babbling at first. Salaki. They babbling at first, right? You know what I'm saying? Making noises, spitting, drooling all over themselves. And then eventually they start saying, mama, dad, right? You know what I'm saying? And then you start showing them colors, letters, numbers, and you do things that are repetitive. You know what I'm saying? You count to them 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, all of that, right? They got number songs, letter songs, and all of that. That's how children learn. Well, since this is new to us and we have to become as little children, like Christ said, to get the kingdom, you know what I'm saying? We have to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? That's what we're going to do tonight, right? So, you know what I'm saying? You know, it's the child song, you know what I'm saying? Head, shoulders, knees, and toes, to get familiar with their body parts, you know what I'm saying? It turned into a song, right? Song and a dance. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to, for us to learn our culture and get real familiar with it, you know what I'm saying? We're going to have to do head, shoulders, knees, and toes, right? You know what I'm saying? So we can get this culture under our belt, man. That's how we got to think. If we really give a damn about our culture and we really love our people like we say we do. All right? So with that, we're going to get right into it, right? So as I said in the beginning of the class, we got these words on the board. And with, you know what I'm saying, identifying our body parts, right? With identifying these body parts, we're going to first have to learn how to use the resources that we were given, right? Because eventually, like another thing, like once we get into the, you know what I'm saying, once this kingdom falls, you know what I'm saying, this internet is going to fall too. You know what I'm saying? This goddamn 9 times out of 10, the internet's going to fall. The damn, the phone lines is going to fall with it. the 5G tower, all of that, that's gonna fall with it. You know what I'm saying? The Amazon Prime and all of that, that's gonna fall with it. You know what I'm saying? Everything that's pertaining to this kingdom, once this kingdom falls and our kingdom is right after, you know what I'm saying? Like the scriptures say, everything that's pertaining to this kingdom is gonna fall with it. So we have to take advantage of the resources that we have now so that when this kingdom falls, you know what I'm saying, we'll have the knowledge to be able to pass down to our children, to our brothers, to our sisters. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? That's why, you know what I'm saying, we're going to cover that subject matter tonight. You know what I'm saying? How to use these resources. If you're having trouble using the resources that have been given to you, that we've been talking about since the beginning, if you're having trouble navigating these resources, any of the resources, if you have a question on what resources that you need to have, if you don't have them yet, put your question in the chat, raise your hand so that you can get the answer to your question. All right? All right? But, you know what I'm saying, right now we need to take advantage of the resources that we have, right? So we're going to go ahead and get right into it, right? So I don't see any answers in the class or in the chat. We're just going to get right into it, right? So when looking up a lot of these, right? So we got the words that we're going to deal with first. And we got a couple more after this, right? We're going to go over these and then we're going to put a new list up and then we're going to do the same process, right? So we got, if you can't see this on the board, you know what I'm saying, those of you watching from home, online, or, you know what I'm saying, whatever the case is, just, you know what I'm saying, say something, speak up so that we can make the adjustment. Right? Well, we got head, we got person, human, or we're going to slack. I forgot to write it, but we're going to deal with people also, the word for people. Let me write it up there now. And this is going to revisit, this is going to touch on a concept that we already visited in the past, right? So it shouldn't be taboo to us, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to get into that. We're going to go into the word for head. Like our, you know what I'm saying? Head, you know what your head is, right? Person, the word for people, right? Human, man, woman, and mind. And we're also, like, and put this up there too. We're going to touch on the definition for heart also, real quick. Let me see how much time we got. Lord willing, we'll be able to get through a decent amount of this material tonight. But, you know what I'm saying? Also, I ain't going to go too fast. I'm trying to take my time with it so that we can get a complete understanding of the subject matter that we discussing tonight, right? So these are the words you got, right? Head, person, people, human, man, woman, and mind, and also heart, because we know in the scriptures when it talks about your heart, the heart is deceitful above all things. We know that that's talking about your mind. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that and break it down. All right? So a lot of these words should be words that you should already have in your notes. A couple of these words we already went over in the last class. So it will behoove you to look into your notes from last class, you know what I'm saying, and refresh yourself on what we've already went over. But, you know what I'm saying, some of these words are going to be new as well, right? So when you're looking up we're gonna just act like, you know what I'm saying, for the brothers and sisters who don't have this in your notes, right? We're gonna act like we don't know these words, right? Like we have no idea what these words mean, and we have no idea how to, you know what I'm saying, we just got the resources, right? So this right here, right? Now you also, you should have a, you got some electronic, resources that you could use. You got your Hebrew dictionary on Kindle, that we talked about a couple months ago. You got your Greek interlinear Hebrew Bible. You got your KJV with concordance. You got your Blue Letter. You got your Bible Hub, right? You got all those resources electronically. But it's always great. This is always an excellent resource to have, right? As a physical copy. Strong's Concordance of the Bible, right? So in this Bible, it has all the words that are in this resource. It has all the words that are used in the Bible in the first good, I would say, 3/4 of the book. So the first 3/4 of this book, if you got to put this in your notes, I highly advise it, right? But in the first 3/4 of the book, it's going to be what's called the Main Concordance, right? The Main Concordance. And in the Main Concordance, it's going to have every word that's used in the scriptures from A to Z in alphabetical order, just like you would see in a standard Webster's Oxford dictionary. You know what I'm saying? So say you don't know what this word is. So this head right here, right? Your noggin, right? What you're going to do is you're going to go into the Main Concordance, right? You're going to go into the Main Concordance. And if you see these tabs on the side, it might be a little blurry. See these tabs on the side? These are the alphabetical tabs so that you can skip right to the alphabet of the beginning letter of the word that you're looking for. So you go into the Main Concordance, right? The A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Because the word that we're looking for starts with an H. It's head, right? So it's just like using a regular dictionary. Here you go to head, right? Written. All right. Again, this is if you don't have this resource, I strongly advise for you to get this resource. It's a very simple, it's a very easy resource to use. But you're going to go into it and find the word head. And once you go to that passage, once you go to that section of the Main Concordance, you're going to look at the most commonly used word you're going to look for the concordance code that's going to be on the far left. I don't know if you probably can't see this, but down here on the far right, Salakia, on the right, you're going to see concordance codes. They're going to start with H for Hebrew or G for Greek. You know what I'm saying? Since this is the Hebrew, the Lashawan Qadash class, we're going to deal with the Hebrew. But it's going to say H, and then there's going to be 3 to 4 digits following it, right? So you're going to follow that concordance code, and whichever one is most commonly used, you're going to go to that concordance code. All right? So we're going to allow you. So the most commonly used concordance code or commonly used word with the concordance code behind it is H7218. All right. So you're going to go to H7218. Now you go to the Hebrew dictionary in the back and follow that concordance code in the back of the book, right? And find out what 87218 says. So when you go to the Hebrew, it'll have a tab right here saying Hebrew, HEB for Hebrew, and then it'll say GRK for Greek. You know what I'm saying? Salakia. Behind it, you'll go to HEB for Hebrew and look for that concordance code 7218. And follow that and see what that says. So we get 7215, 16, 17, 18. Right? And what you should get after you do that is this word. Right? You see that. You should be able to see that, right? Brothers and sisters online, let me know if you can't see that. We'll try to make an adjustment for you. Right? So that's what you should get. So if you're familiar with the Hebrew alphabet, which we should be familiar with by now, Abba Gada Hawaza Chata Yaka Lama Nasa I Pa Taza Kwa Ra Sha and Ta. You know what I'm saying? To be familiar with the Hebrew alphabet in order. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's a Ra, Ah, and a Sha. Salaki, let me say that slower, more clearly, so there ain't no confusion. We got Ra, Sha, Ta, right? You put it all together, or Salaki, Ra, Ah, Sha. You put it all together, you got Ra, Ah, and Sha, right? Put it all together, you get Ra'ash. Ra'ash, right? Meaning head, right? So can have several definitions. So we know your head is your noggin. Your head is the vessel that carries your brain, which sends signals to your body to make all the decisions for your body. Like right now, I'm talking because there are signals going from my brain to my mouth telling me to talk and what to say. There are signals going from my brain to my hands to make me, you know what I'm saying, gesticulate, right? There are signals from my brain to my feet telling me to walk. Your head, right? That's the significance of your head, right? Not the, you know what I'm saying? The significance of your head, right? Your head, a head can also mean your leader, your authority, right? So you're like First Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3, I believe, says the man is the head of the woman, right? The woman is the head of the children, right? The head of man is Christ, and the head of Christ is the Most High, right? So this is talking about authority. So your head, just like your head has authority over your body, the head of you has authority over you. So if you're a wife, your husband has authority. He is your head. He is your authority. He is the authority over the children, right? Over his household. The camp leader is the authority over the camp. The captain is the authority over the zone, the city, or whatever the case is. And, or the, you know what I'm saying? Your head dictates your actions, right? So that's an easy way to remember that. So head, Ra'ash. Your head, your camp leader, Ra'ash, right? Ra'ash or Ratazah, the head of the land, right? You know what I'm saying? But the way we found that, I hope if you're having, you know what I'm saying, if you're confused on how we found that, how we use the resource to find that, just put it in the chat. Let me know. We can go back and break it down a little bit further. Or if you have a specific question, just let me know. But if you have this resource alone, if you just have a concordance, it's good to have all the, you know what I'm saying, all the different, you know what I'm saying, apps, because sometimes you have to, it's good to compare several different resources. But if you have this concordance, it is going to be very easy for you to find the definition of any word, right? And then, you know what I'm saying, the Bible Hub or Blue Letter Bible, you'll be able to read it in the Hebrew used in its particular context, or the KJV with concordance, you'll be able to see it in its particular context, in its particular usage, with its tenses. Sometimes it's pluralized, sometimes it's past tense, present tense, sometimes it's going to be used as a name. Like, for example, Ra'ash in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, it says, in the beginning, in the English. In the Hebrew, it is Baha Ra'ash Yah, right? So it has that root word, Ra'ash, but it's used in a different way. It has two prepositions, Baha meaning in the, and then Ra'ash Yah means beginning or first. You know what I'm saying? So in the beginning, right? You'll see Baha Ra'ash Yah. But if you go to Leviticus chapter 23, it'll say regarding, I believe, the Passover, it'll say in the first month. So, or the first day of the month, or the first month, right? It'll say Ra'ashwan, right? So, Baha Qadash, meaning new or first, or it's like meaning new moon or month. Qadash, Baha Qadash, Ra'ashwan. So in the month first, the Ra'ashwan, that suffix wan, as we learned in past classes, means that you're naming something. It's a proper noun, right? So Ra'ashwan is the name of the first month in the Hebrew. So those are just variations of how you'll see that root word Ra'ash used in the scriptures in various contexts. You know what I'm saying? You might see Ra'ashwan talking about the name of a month. You might see Ra'ash Yah talking about the beginning or the first, right? But if you have the understanding of how to find a root word that you don't understand, then you'll be able to understand these variations with the tenses and the suffixes and the prefixes attached to it, right? That's the importance of having this resource right here. You know what I'm saying? And it says there's a sticker right there. Let me see if I can put it on the thing. Salaki. It says $20, 1997, right? 1997. $20. I'm gonna tell you right now, I didn't even pay $20 for this resource. I think I paid maybe, depending on when you get it, where you get it from, you could get it between $15 and $20 on Amazon or at an old bookstore. You know what I'm saying? Preferably Amazon. You can get it between $15 and $20. You know what I'm saying? Wherever you get it from. But you know what I'm saying? For this resource, that'll be. But anywhere, you know what I'm saying? Anywhere you, hey, shalom on Christ, warrior. Yabashim Yashabra Thug. Good to see you, brother. See you tapping in. But if you have this resource, right, you'll be able to find any word in the Hebrew, you know what I'm saying? And you don't have to, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to wait for, you know what I'm saying, me or any other of the, you know what I'm saying, the men above me or any of the Hebrew scholars in the school, you know what I'm saying, to go over one by one. This means this, and this means this, and this means this, and this means this, right? You will be able to, and then if you do the research on your own, you'll be able to come to class with questions, with different questions, rather than what does this mean? You'll be able to ask how to conjugate a word, like, okay, and to put it in a specific tense, how to conjugate it best based on this tense, right? But we won't be able to get there until we learn how to use these simple resources, right? To understand these simple concepts. So just keep that in mind, right, as we go through this. So we already went over how to use the resource, right? We covered that portion of the class. I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying, drag the class on too long. I just want to demonstrate that. You should already have this word in your notes too, because we went over it, you know what I'm saying, we went over it in past class, you know what I'm saying, but if you don't have it in your notes, I will put it in a separate section in your notes where we keep our root words, right? I advise you to, anytime you come into a new root word, put it in your notes. Salaki. I would advise you to put it in your notes, you know what I'm saying, in a separate section so that you can just have a list of root words, right? We got the 100, you know what I'm saying, most common nouns that we kind of started to step into last week. But, you know what I'm saying, we're going to go in a practical order as far as like grouping them. And so that's what we're going over body parts right now. But if you want the entire list of nouns, then, you know what I'm saying, put it in the chat, or I'll put it in, you know what I'm saying, if you want the noun, just, you know what I'm saying, put it in the chat, let me know, hit up your camp leader, hit up, you know what I'm saying, if you have a husband, if you're a sister, hit up your husband, tell him to get at me. If you're a brother, just hit my, you know what I'm saying, hit me up directly and I can give you this list so that you can have it for your own personal study, right? But, you know what I'm saying, you should already have these in your notes. You should have this in your notes, right? So we're going to move on, right? We're going to move on. Now we know how to use these resources. So we got a lot. Let me see. One second. So, and technology. All right, so we got person, right? So, and I'm gonna kind of go into this portion of the board, so the disregard, right? So we got person. You can do the exact same thing that we just did for head. Go into the concordance, you know what I'm saying? Look up the word in the main concordance, person, follow that concordance code that it gives you, and then go to the back of the book to the Hebrew dictionary and look up that concordance code, and it should give you a word, right? So the word for person is, in the strong concordance, is H. Salakia. H582. You got Ah, Na, Wa, and Sha. Here's another thing. If you haven't noticed, the concordance code directly correlates with the order of the word in the Hebrew alphabet. So if it's starting with, if it's starting with three-digit number, so we got 582. Or maybe, let me see, just off the top of my head, if it's starting with a 3-digit number or starting with 1,000, 9 times out of 10, that word starts with an ah or a ba, which are the first two characters in the Hebrew alphabet. So it's just like the dictionary, right? So the number directly correlates with the position of the character in the word. Let me know if that doesn't make sense, so we can go further into it, right? But this has a 3-digit number, right? 582, H582. So like, let me turn it down. Right? So this concordance code in the Strong's concordance, say 3-digit code. So 9 times out of 10, actually 10 times out of 10, that has a 3-digit code. It's going to start with an ah because that's the first character in the Hebrew alphabet. So that's why you have here ah, na, wa, and sha. You got ah, na, wa, sha. Right? Put it together, you get anawash. Right? Right? So you write it in English. Wash. Anawash. Person. Anawash. Right? A person, right? Singular. Now you also have the word people, which we have in parentheses, and there's a reason why I'm putting those together, right? Because people is going to be the plural, the pluralization of person, right? And in past classes, we went over plurals, different ways to pluralize a word. So we're going to get right into it. People is concordance code, Salakia, H5971. Right? So just so we don't get confused, right? So you got person, meaning anawash, meaning person. Right? Now regarding people, we have this. That I'm. Right? I'm. So people is the pluralization of person. This is what you would call generally a irregular plural. Right? So usually to pluralize words, you would add a yum. You would add if it's becoming if it's a categorization of things, or you would put a th behind it, like Abba, Abath, right? Category of fathers, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you would use, what do we discuss? Sometimes the word doesn't change. Sometimes you have a stem change. This is an example of a stem change as an irregular plural, right? So you got person and people, right? Leave that up there for just a second. Like, I'll be right back. Take a second to copy that down. We're going to just take a second to copy that down into your notes because I'm about to have to erase it in just a second. All right. right, so we already understand, you know what I'm saying? We already understand how to use concordance code, the significance of concordance codes, how to follow a concordance code in the strong concordance, right? Just if you don't understand it, raise your hand, put it in the chat, and I'll break it down further. But you know what I'm saying? Or if you got to rewind it or whatever the case is to further understand, you know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? This is a class. It's a classroom setting. So it's best to, you know what I'm saying? It's geared to be able to ask and have questions answered live, right? That's the best way to get the breakdown and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So don't be discouraged to ask questions. But, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to assume if I don't, you know what I'm saying, if there aren't any questions or comments in the chat or in the class, I'm going to assume that there's a understanding. So I'll be putting the concordance code up just to go over how to do, you know what I'm saying, how to navigate the resource. But, you know what I'm saying, for the sake of space and the sake of time, I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying, continue to do that for the rest of them. But just know, you know what I'm saying, that's going to be essential for finding, you know what I'm saying, definitions of words. All right, so next up, we got human. And we kind of went over this last week, so this should be a little bit of a review, right? So we got, for human, we got Adam, right? Meaning what? Or meaning human, right? Adam. The phonetic pronunciation, Adam. All right. Or in the English, what you'll see in the scriptures describing a human, or you know what I'm saying, you may see, you know what I'm saying, this Hebrew word used to describe Adam, right? Adam, because he's the first human or man who was given instruction from the Most High to have dominion over the earth, right? To have dominion over all the nations. He was the first to receive the instruction, the word of breath of life from the Most High, right? Adam, or human, right? Now you'll also, if you're following concordance codes, you'll also see, as we talked about last week, Adam, meaning red, which is where Edom gets its name, the nation of Edom, or Esau. Edom, Adawam, because he is a red, as you learn in Genesis, he came out red and hairy, right? So that's where Esau or Edom's nation gets their name, Adawam, meaning red, a red human, right? And just to, you know what I'm saying, while we get this next word, that's how we know that, you know what I'm saying, it's another clue that the Lord's people are black, because the description of Adam, or not slightly, the description of Esau is so important because it was abnormal. It was something that wasn't regular, right? Because as we know in Revelations, in Daniel, the description of the Most High in Christ, and in Ezekiel, the descriptions of the angels are all described as black. In Solomon's Wisdom, Songs of Solomon, chapter 1, he describes himself as a black man. Job 30 and 30, he describes himself as a black man, right? All the priests and prophets and the kings and the rulers, the Most High Christ, the angels are described as black. So the fact that Esau is red and hairy is very important to identify the Lord's people and to identify Esau, because that was an abnormal pigmentation, right? So just not to get off subject, but you know what I'm saying, that's another way to be able to, you know what I'm saying, identify the Lord's people. So next up we got man, right? So we got a male human. So we talked about the name of the Hebrew word for person, people, and human. Now we're going to talk about man. Again, it should be reviewed. And we're going to also talk about woman, right? Just to get through it real quick, because we already went over it last week, right? So I don't want to spend too much time with it. So we got Ayash and Asha, right? For man and woman. Let me know if you can see that, right? We got man, Ayasha, put it together, Ayash, for man, a male human, right? Asha and Ha, put it together, Asha, right? And lastly, before we move to the next set of words, we got, let me see, we got mine. Let me see which one I'm going to start with. A lot. So the name for mine, which we know, or the name for mine is Labab, which is your mind. Let me make sure I got that correct. Yeah. Labab meaning mind, right? Right? Now, to say heart, you would just remove the last bob, right? So instead of saying labab, it would just be lab for heart, right? And we should add this top portion, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that. Just the top portion, just in case. You know what I'm saying? You need a little second to copy down what we got left. As a matter of fact, we should already have man and woman in our notes, right? We ain't gotta spend too much time on that, right? So labab for mind, lob for heart, right? See what else we got. What else we got? All right. So next up, we got life. See if you can see that. You'll be able to see that, right? Right? So life is Hayah, right? A life is a being, whether it's an animal life, a human life, or plant life, whatever life. A life, hayah, right? And you notice, because we say it in the Lord's Prayer, Abba Nawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Qadash, hayah. Qadash meaning holy, hayah meaning be. You know what I'm saying? Now, in the Lord's Prayer, it's spelled like hayah with a ha at the end, right? Right? Now, we know from past class, we know that ha at the end means either it could be something is feminine or something is serving something, right? Or something is being ruled over, right? So in this case, you know what I'm saying, we will be the, you know what I'm saying, in this case, you know what I'm saying, is that what the ha is for? To make it from life to be or being? You know what I'm saying? Who knows, right? But we use this every day, so it shouldn't be too, you know what I'm saying, complicated for us to understand. Life, hayah, right? What else we got? So we got head, person, human, man, woman, mind, heart, and life, right? Should already have these in our notes. Should already be familiar with these things, right? Or it should be, you know what I'm saying, I advise you to get these in your notes because these are the things, you know what I'm saying, that you're going to have to teach your children, right? The head, shoulders, knees, and toes, basic things for your children to be able to understand the things around them. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So that we can be able to communicate with one another and our children in our native language. All right? You know what I'm saying? It's just going to take a little bit of diligence, right? But right now, I'm just giving it to you. I'm just giving it to you, right? So this is, I would take full advantage of this opportunity where it's just being given, right? Because if you're really zealous, or not even zealous, if you're serious about your, you know what I'm saying, culture and getting out of this hell, then you would just be zealous off rip about teaching your children and your brothers this culture, right? Go ahead and get rid of this last one too, right? We should have been up there for long enough. Right? But if we're really serious about getting out of this hell, then we should, you know what I'm saying, we should take advantage of these things and think about every time you learn a new word. I mean, I know we're learning also, you know what I'm saying, as we're teaching, but we got to think about the children, right? So that they could be born into, you know what I'm saying, just like we have our children who are born in the truth because we were, you know what I'm saying, the Most High, you know what I'm saying, gave us the opportunity to come into the truth as adults. Now we have children who are born in the truth, you know what I'm saying, under the proper authority, under the proper instruction, right? Well, what good is that if we're not training our children in the way that they should go, right? So as we're going through these things, just keep that in mind, right? So we can continue so we can raise our children in the truth. Because like your child being born in the truth doesn't mean anything if you're not teaching them the truth as they're growing up. If you're teaching them, you know what I'm saying, their oppressor's culture, and for them to be indoctrinated by their oppressor, then they're as good as, you know what I'm saying, lost as you were before you found the truth. You know what I'm saying? That's going to create confusion. So let's go ahead and take this serious, all right? So we got foot, right? We got foot. Foot, hand, mouth, nose, and eye. Right? Foot. We got rock. We have to wait for y'all. All right, so we got Ra, Ga, and La. Put it together, you get Ra, Gal, Ragal, foot. Right? Hand. Right? And you can practice, you know what I'm saying, writing this in the Hebrew, or the ancient Hebrew, and the Assyrian Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? I'm just writing in the Assyrian to get us more familiar with seeing it, because it's going to be what's going to be, you know what I'm saying, seen most often in the concordance, the Hebrew dictionary, and all of that. And the, you know what I'm saying, after we talked about it beginning of the class. But you should practice writing in both, right? You got yod, got a ya and a da together, making yod. You got pa for mouth. And we know that mouth is pa because in past class we talked about the pictographs, like the pictographs and what they mean, right? So the ancient Hebrew way to write pa, the character pa is this. This is what you'll see. This is a pa right here in the ancient Hebrew. And this is a pictograph for this word right here, pa. So it's pa and ha, a pa and a ha at the end, meaning mouth. So this is what this pictograph represents. This pictograph represents a mouth. So this is another word that should be in our notes already from past classes and review. But if it's not, now you know. This is a pa. This is also a pa. These are pictographs. This is a pa in the ancient. This is a pa in the Assyrian. These pictographs represent pa, which is mouth, right? Then we got nose. So we got a ah. We got a ah. We got a ah and a pa. Put it together, you get ah. Nose. Ah. Nose, right? And then last but not least, we got eye. This is another word that we should already have in our notes because of the pictograph lesson that we went over a few months ago. If you haven't seen the classes prior to, if you're just getting into the Hebrew, I advise no matter, you know what I'm saying, no matter whose classes you're watching, you know what I'm saying, I'm not the only Hebrew teacher, right? So no matter whose classes you're watching, I would advise brothers and sisters to go back and watch older videos of people, you know what I'm saying, brothers teaching the Hebrew so that you can get the foundational information and the, you know what I'm saying, watch older classes so that you get caught up or, you know what I'm saying, whatever you need to do, right? But if you go back to the Kalim page, specifically if you're in the zone, you'll see we went over pictographs. And just like the pa is a pictograph for the mouth, like we're going over now, the pictograph for the Hebrew letter I, the Hebrew character I, the ancient Hebrew character for I is this. That is your I. And this I represents the Hebrew word ayun. Ayun. Meaning I. Right? So this Hebrew character right here, in the ancient, it looks like this. In the Assyrian, it looks a little different. But in the ancient, it looks like this. Because if you put that in the middle, it looks like your eyeball. You know what I'm saying? It looks like an eye. That's what that pictograph represents. An eye. That's why ayun. That's where you get ayun from. Right? Yeah. All right. So, what I advise brothers and sisters to do is just create a running list. You know what I'm saying? If you got to separate into categories, you know what I'm saying? We talking about body parts right now. Or the body, you know what I'm saying? So if you want to make a separate category of root words, talking about the body parts for study purposes, you know what I'm saying, for note-taking purpose, for effective note-taking, I advise you to do that, you know what I'm saying, and use this as a study tool, not only for yourself, but for your children, your brothers, your sisters, you know what I'm saying, and so we can all stop speaking our oppressor's tongue and start communicating with one another in the Lord's language, the Lashawan Qadash, the holy tongue, the holy language, right? So, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna beat a dead horse. We're gonna, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna end it right there. You know what I'm saying? The water to all the brothers and sisters who, you know what I'm saying, endured through the class, you know what I'm saying? All the brothers, you know what I'm saying, live and online, you know what I'm saying, who endured, you know what I'm saying. Make sure, you know what I'm saying, you taking diligent notes. You make sure you have your study tools. You're using your resources. If you have any questions, you know what I'm saying, ask your questions. If you need that list of 100 nouns, 100 verbs, I can send that to you, you know what I'm saying, for your own study purposes. And, you know what I'm saying, what else? All right, with that, you know what I'm saying, Shalom, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahushua, Brakathum to all the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh, Shema, Bashim, Yahushua to all the sisters.